Yes, Lynn Lurker / legislator for the state of Idaho, for the Judicial Council, Vice Chair, who I believed I hired, but during an oral argument, June 5th, 2013, I was told by one of the justices that, because I'd asked a question, who did hire Lynn Lurker? And one of the justices said, aren't you aware that that this court as a whole did? Period. That's all that was said. But I'm not real sure what the justices meant by that. Because I don't believe that they're aware of everything that happened after he was allowed to withdraw. Because under the Idaho rules of conduct, under an attorney, when an attorney withdraws, he cannot have no further communication with that client. But Lynn Lurker / legislator for the state of Idaho clearly did not come, and he abandoned me at my oral argument before the Idaho Supreme Court on June 5th, 2013. Mr. Lynn Lurker, isn't it a fact that this is a letter, along with the transmitted verification, that I hired you back, Mr. Lynn Lurker, on December 27th, 2010, just a few days after you lied about why you needed to withdraw as my counsel through the Industrial Commission of the state of Idaho, which you was granted. But now, isn't it a fact, Mr. Lynn Lurker / legislator, who is vice chair of the Judicial Council, isn't it a fact that you also wrote me a letter on December 29th, after I hired you on December 27th, stating that would you please come back, and that I would even cancel my Social Security disability at your request. But then on December 29th of 2010, you wrote me a letter stating that we are right back, because you quit again. Because in that letter of December 29th, you were quitting again. And you stated that we are right back where the commission granted my withdrawal. Well, I don't think so, Mr. Lynn Lurker, Lynn M. Lurker / legislator for the state of Idaho, because you abandoned me at oral argument. I had to stand before the Idaho Supreme Court on June 5th, 2013, because you didn't show. Because before argument, I looked around and asked if Lynn Lurker, my attorney, was here, and you weren't. So I had to proceed on my own. So, Lynn Lurker, how come you were not there at oral argument for me to help me? Because you are the one that put together the $780-something thousand settlement offer, which, I put in the brief after you quit after the hearing, but it was my brief in regards to the hearing. I put together, I wrote in there from word to word, letter to letter, period to period, comma to comma, your settlement offer for a 26-year life expectancy, because you also believed that I was disabled under the ILA. But then again, I don't think I was supposed to make it this far to really uncover a lot of these documents that were written and left in the files for me to see when it was too late. But obviously it wasn't too late, because I didn't make it this far. Lynn Lurker, I'm wanting to know, this injured worker who fought for his life for 10 minutes on an employee until another employee was able to shut the machine off, which OSHA did come in weeks later and found my company be in 21 serious violations, and then fined them for 15 serious violations, and one of them violations was for not giving their employees a safe workplace. So I added in my brief in regards to the hearing in 2011, I added the S&W Act, because I was able to prove that my company did not give us a safe workplace. So that brought it up to $1.2 million. So Mr. Lynn Lurker, who obviously was more qualified to make that kind of a settlement offer than if it was just some ordinary attorney off the corner. Because he is an Idaho state legislator who worked for the judicial, which I told him everything, because at first I thought I hired him, but I see where the scam came in, to where he came into the picture at, because I did do it on my own for the first 2 years before I hired him. That's where all the fraud was caught. I caught it. And I argued it throughout the whole 2 years before I hired him. And then when I hired him, he turned around a couple of months later and filed some kind of a, yeah, you got to really see that to believe it. But then he also filed a letter to the commission asking if there is a hearing to be set, if one can be set 10 days after legislation. Well, that was like 7 months later. I received this other letter from Mr. Lynn Lurker that was in the file. Supposedly I received them, stating that, well, here's these interrogatorials that they want you to answer to make sure that they're all right. But if there's any changes, send it back. And if there's any changes, again, if there's any changes, we can do that over the phone. But we need to hurry. Hurry. That's because Lynn Lurker, I put it together that you did not do nothing on my behalf. And that's why we were arguing. Because I was wondering why you weren't getting things ready for Sandy Basket, which I won the subpoena against. But then I noticed that they, you know, in that other, in the other filing that you and the other state agencies put together, if you are a state employee, the other state agencies put together, is that I was denied for that request. But that's a lie. Well, it could have been at that point, but I was granted without your help before I hired you that Ms. Owens would testify in person, even though the state insurance fund's attorney used the same identical filing that they lost to or lost with, trying to make me out that I'm a violent person, she fears for her life, she doesn't want to be seen, blah, 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 blah. But they lost that argument in '09. But for some reason, it was turned around and redone while you were representing me, but was denied. You might not be a very good attorney, because I did it on my own. You know? So, you know, ooh, look, 208 number. Yep.
Yeah?
Oh, hey, bro, hey.
Oh, I know you know.
No, hey, bro, listen, I'm doing a video. Don't say nothing. I'm doing a video for the Supreme Court. I'll call you right back. Bye. That's my brother. I'm a little concerned about him over. He has diabetes and he's got to take his insulin. I haven't talked to him for over a year because I've been so busy here. I had to call him to make sure that he was doing okay. But anyway, where was I? So anyway, you know, Mr. Lynn Lurker, you say you're an Idaho state legislator, and their law attorneys are saying that you were the most outstanding professional attorney that the state has. Well, why did they say something like that about an attorney? I was being represented by the finest attorney and all this kind of stuff at my hearing, because this is based about my hearing, everything that was involved at my hearing. But you see what they did is they covered up all the facts that happened prior to me hiring Lynn Lurker and didn't want to talk about it at my hearing. So, and it wasn't talked about, except for a couple of things. But you know, my attorney did not call one single person. He did not call one single doctor of mine. He did not hire anyone to refute their doctor's reports from Dr. Wilson, Dr. Holt, Dr. Beaver, Mr. Crum, and some other doctor that I wasn't aware of that was kind of involved in. I guess that's probably, you know, when I was at one of those. It was a panel review. You know, panel, yeah, where, you know, I go and, you know, talk to their doctors, and then they get their report. But you see what they did is they based their report. I've only seen these people once in my lifetime. One of them I've seen twice. And I didn't get paid for the second trip going over there like I was supposed to. Because there's another scam they're getting out of it because I'm not getting paid for what I was entitled to. Just like they refused my medical treatments, but they made it sound like the way that they worded it, but what they're doing is they're not putting dates in there. You see, they're just talking about how, oh yeah, but it was continued on. But they're not saying that I had fought because they were denying me this for so many months. That's just like my transfer from my doctor over there in Boise to Dr. Hansen. Well, they did it all on the 29th, getting the referral sent over. They put that fraudulent job site evaluation together. They have my doctor that I'd seen at the when I was life flighted, and because I needed to transfer to Dr. Hansen, which is closer, because they weren't paying me transportation to drive over 170 something miles to a doctor's appointment. That's for a month. So, but they're saying or argument that, but then Dr. Hansen, not Dr. Hansen, but Dr. Gross okayed a job site evaluation on December 29th. Dr. Gross signed off on a job site evaluation on May 29, 2008. And then they say that I transferred my doctor care to Dr. Hansen on May 30th of 2008. Because they're making it look like, well, Dr. Gross went ahead and allowed me to go back to work, so I went and see Dr. Hansen. And Dr. Hansen said, no way. Well, that's not the fact. What it was, they filed, because I had to get this transfer, and of course, Dr. Hansen's office was going to cancel my appointment because for 3 weeks we've been fighting to get this transfer sent over to them because I have to have the referral sent from Dr. Gross's office first. Well, Dr. Gross's office has said, well, I've already sent it. So I've been having to argue with the state insurance fund. Well, he's saying that he sent it. So where's it at? Well, they also did Dr. Hansen's referral also on the 29th. But they didn't tell that to the Supreme Court. They just said that I transferred my care to Dr. Hansen on the 30th. You see, so that's the little scam that they're not telling you. Is that why did they on the same day transfer my care to Dr. Hansen, but before they transferred my on the same day on May 30th, they had Dr. Gross sign off on this because they weren't expecting Dr. Hansen to go over what Dr. Gross had said. Because at that defining moment in time, they're saying that Dr. Gross was still my physician. So I guess I could always see that, but to me, in my opinion, why didn't you just wait and ask Dr. Hansen, as you did Dr. Gross on the same day? Why didn't you just send them both the same thing on the same day and see what they both had to say? So you see, that's what it's all about. I caught you all also trying to put me over fraudulently, but my attorney wouldn't do nothing about it. My attorney, Lynn, lurker slash legislator, with the judicial, committee, which is for the Idaho Industrial Commission. What a conflict of interest that was. But I didn't realize that because, but because again, I wasn't supposed to make this far. Lynn Lurker, I believe that the Supreme Court is aware of this letter, and then you file a lien on the same day as December 27th of 2010. Yeah, you filed your lien on that day also. But now you didn't file it on the 25th like you were supposed to. On the 20th when you gave some funky reason why you wanted to quit. But I already see it. Why? Because when Social Security contacted me, because you did have my Social Security too, disability, because I filed for Social Security in September while I was institution because of this accident, because of my injury. I was put in a psychiatric hospital because I was under a lot of, and at that time I filed for Social Security while I was inside there. And that's one of the medical bills they are denying that they want to pay. Oh, well, they won't pay because obviously I guess they've already paid me $11,000 for fighting for my life. OSHA finding them guilty, but I wrote on the back of the check, cashing due to financial hardship. So I guess that's why, I don't know. But anyway, so Lynn Luker, I want you to call me. You won't return my calls. If you are, consider my attorney, because isn't that what you're telling people when they call your number? That's between me and my client? Why you abandoned your client at oral argument? Mr. Lynn Luker, why did you abandon me? I want the answer. You're my client. I'm still your client, I guess. That's the way you're wording it to everybody. Come to talk to me. Talk to me, Lynn Luker, because you got $4,000. You were granted $4,000. But I was told at the Idaho Supreme Court oral argument that the commission hired you. Or did I hire you? Which one was it? Well, I asked one of the justices, and they said, what they said. So, where am I at here? See, again, I wasn't supposed to make it this far to uncover all this. Because this is the scam that Idaho has on how they don't have to pay these injured workers over in Idaho. Because of the way they have it set up, the way they got it set up is that no wonder their payout has dropped dramatically to injured worker. No wonder there's so many injured workers over there in Idaho, because based upon the Industrial Commission's decision, which, as they've done in mine, have lied in a lot of it. Well, in all of it. If it has anything to rebuke, it's a lie. Because they're trying to say that my doctors were idiots and ignorant, and they don't know what and they were just helping me because I was, what was not related to my injury. But isn't it when you have dramatic nightmares about a machine trying to suck you up in it or eat you alive? Nightmares, you can't sleep at night, and so it interferes with your family to the point where you do separate, and now you do lose a lot of things in your life that you had prior to the injury because you're confused on your injury itself and the pain that you're in dramatically, and how you want to amputate your arm. How is your family supposed to continue to listen to that unless I don't go and get help? You see, you're trying to tell everyone that, and your doctors are saying that I don't have PTSD. And that while they did the panel review, from there on, your doctors were saying that I don't need no more psychiatric help. And my PTSD isn't related to my injury, or maybe just a little bit of it. But from here on out, it ain't. Oh, now I can still go to work, even though y'all tried to put me back to work next to the same machine that almost took my life by a fraudulent job site evaluation. And then neither me nor my boss even received that completed job site evaluation. And I don't understand why my attorney, as I had requested prior to hiring him, that I want this man, I want my boss, Ken Annam, as my witness to show that me nor him received the job site evaluation. And to show that I didn't quit my job, as they've got stated in the records. Because when they forced me to go back to work, I did try to go back, because they said if I don't go back, then based upon this fraudulent job site evaluation, that I'll be cut off of everything. Well, in reality, I already kind of was. When they sent me back to work 10 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week, just weeks after I almost lost my life, and my arm was swelling like 3 to 4 to 5 times the size it was supposed to be, and then my arm was draining, oozing out of these open wounds because they couldn't sew them shut because it had a place to drain. And and then my attorney did nothing. Didn't call one single person. No doctors, no rebuttals, no nothing. But then again, he told in his lien, he put, I did so much stuff that I'm entitled to almost $5,000 or 20% and blah, 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 blah. But you didn't write that lien until when I finally hired you back, because I guess that was your opportunity to be able to fire that lien. Because again, you put around and quit. But you see, I didn't hire you through the commission, Mr. Lynn, because the commission granted you to withdraw on the 23rd. You filed for a motion to withdraw on the 20th. And come the 23rd, it was all done and granted. Even though that there were depositions to be done on the 21st, and another 5 of them before the 7th, before you had to go to legislation, because wasn't that was also stated it stated that we need to try to get all these depositions done prior to you going onto, to do your job at the Capitol to help put other rules into place. That you learn that we better close this door so that nobody can do this again. You see, Mr. Lynn Lurker, I didn't know government, and I still kind of don't, but I'm kind of learning government now, how it works. But obviously, a lot of other people can see where we're losing. Corruption is a failure in our American pride. That's kind of my logo on a few of my videos that I have on YouTube. A failure in our American pride. Mr. Lurker, get with me, man. Don't be scared. Who am I? I'm a ninja worker, man. I'm a nobody. Don't be scared of me. I'm not going to harm you. But once again,